What's going on, everybody? It is the legendary LaShawn here, and the Street Fighter beta, Street Fighter 6 beta, I should say. The second one is done. It is donezo. It is out of here, and it was glorious. It was magnificent, and I just wanted to kind of go over some of the thoughts that I had concerning this beta. And so let's start out with the positives, right? First positive. They really improved the matchmaking time for rank matches, casual matches, whatever have you, all that good stuff. It's improved significantly. It didn't really take me much time to find a match. So much so that sometimes my attention would kind of get divided. And that is a little small critique that I will say. It would be times where I would find, or it would find me a match and I wasn't paying attention. I was on my phone on Instagram looking at some, Instagram and Twitter, looking at some combo videos and all that other stuff to see what people were doing with characters. And, it would make the little sound, but I wouldn't really notice it. Like the sound wasn't really that engaging to let me know that it had found a match. And so I would look up and then my thing would stop searching for a match. And so one critique that I will say that I'm attaching to this positive for the matchmaking, they definitely need to have something that's more attention grabbing. In Street Fighter 5, I will say they did a very good job of that with the, let's do this, I think it was. It would say like, it would actually say like, hey, kind of like you found a match. And so the matchmaking has significantly improved. They definitely improved on the, what is it? The button lag? I forgot what it's called. What is it? Yeah, the input lag. There we go. They definitely improved on the input lag. The game feels a lot smoother than it was in the first beta, and that's very impressive. And the reason why is because, especially for the first beta, there wasn't that many people. There wasn't as many people as it was this time. It was almost half as many. And so for the problems that it had, for them to add even more people and for it to still be really, really smooth and improve this much, it's amazing. I mean, it's great. Another improvement that I really liked on the game is just, pretty much that, the adding of more people and the way that the network handled it. I actually had a couple of matches that would kind of get laggy, but it would correct itself pretty fast. Like, it would maybe take maybe 5 seconds, if that, to maybe correct itself and get the rollback going back to where it needed to be. And overall, everything feels really smooth. It feels really good. It was a really dope time. Some negatives that I will say. One thing is, for some reason, I did have a couple of problems with screen tearing, like especially with the level 3. For some reason, I don't know if it's Jamie, I don't know if it's because it doesn't seem like whenever Ryu gets a KO with the level 3 super, it doesn't seem to be as bad. But for some reason, I think because of the effect that Jamie has when he does his regular Getsuga Saiho, where he kicks you in the face, kind of like that little hit spark, that explosion that he does when his feet connects with your face. When you get a KO with that, it makes the screen tearing really, really bad. Like, it kind of goes a little bit haywire. And so I'm pretty sure that's something that they're going to iron out, but I definitely want to make sure that I send that to them when I do my survey. And to anybody out there who was able to get to be a part of this beta, please do the survey. Please let the devs know about what you think, about what your opinion was of the game, about any problems that you did have. The only other thing, and I don't know if this is maybe my controller problem or what, but there were certain times where I was getting like really janky inputs. There would be times where I would try to I would try to do quarter circle forward, and I would try to do my records, basically. But for some reason, I would be getting Getsuga Saiho. I would be getting my level 3. And so I tried to go back into training mode and see if I could see what was going on, and I couldn't really figure it out. But again, that could just be a me thing. Other than that, there's not really too many negatives. that I can think of, except for I do think that, in my opinion, I think that Drive Impact still. I think that is still a little bit too much. I think that Drive Impact is a little bit too much, and I think that they gave Drive Impact too much strength, and they gave a perfect parry too little. Because the thing is, with perfect parry, when you do a perfect parry, and I got a perfect parry a couple times in this game, it's really, really good. But the thing is, they scale your damage so high where it's like, you know, even if you do like a basic combo into a level 3 critical art or wherever else, it's almost like your damage is kind of halved. And I really don't think that that makes sense just to me from like a professional fighter standpoint. Like casuals, like of course, you know, it is what it is. Casuals aren't really going to like that because it's just like, oh well, you know, they keep on parrying me and stuff like that. But it's like, in my opinion, I am of the mind where if you are the better player, if you are making the better decisions, then you should be rewarded for that. And that actually brings me to another gripe that I had, that I forgot to kind of go over in a video for this beta. It's really, if you guys remember in Street Fighter V, when the Street Fighter V beta was out, the very first one, it was actually pretty cool. Like, you could do some really cool stuff with Ryu. You could do some very interesting combos with Chun. Rashid was amazing. You know, there were different types of combo routes and stuff like that you could use to, you know, really give yourself a lot of options, like a whole lot of options, right? But little by little, the more betas that we got, the more they kept on taking away. And it was weird because, like, well, why? And at least from my recollection, they never really said why they were taking, you know, so many things away from characters. It just seemed like they were trying to purposefully limit the things that you could do in a game. And when I think about the patch notes and the very big change that they made for the level 1 super no longer being Fireball Invincible, I'm not going to say that it's like a horrible thing, or I'm not going to, like, you know, kind of shoot the gun and say that, oh, this is going to be a Street Fighter V situation all over again. But I am really concerned with why. And here's the reason why, right? There's plenty of people in this game, not just at lower ranks, but there's plenty of people that are really into combos, right? And so they want to use their drive rush. They want to get in there. They want to make longer combos and everything else, right? But doing drive rush from a button takes away 3 stacks of your bar. And that is very resource consuming, right? So there's a lot of times where, you know, somebody gets a really good combo, they get really good damage, they make some smart decisions, but they used up a lot of their resource. So, okay, they should have to pay for that. So now they're taking chip damage, they run out of all their bar, and that's fine. They should pay for their decision that they made. But if a person is in a corner, and then let's say that, you know, people keep on chucking plasma and everything else, but, you know, the player has saved up, let's say 3 stacks of, you know, 3 stacks of bar, they have 2 stacks of bar. Let's just say they have 1 stack of bar. Why would you take that option away from the player who's smart? If a player is able to react to a person continuously throwing fireballs because they want to chip them out or whatever else, especially if you're going up against a Ryu who is using his Denjin charge, that fireball is very hard to react to. So, not everybody is going to be able to react to fireballs, right? Like, that's not like a universal thing. It's not something that's like super easy. It takes, like, you know, a nice fundamental seasoned player to be able to do that. So in my mind, I'm having a hard time understanding, for a player that's in Burnout, but that has another resource, they have their super gauge, and they only have 1 stack of bar, maybe because they use it for another combo or whatever have you. Why should they not be able to get rewarded for having reactions? Why can't they react to that and then punish the other player for throwing too many fireballs? So it's like, you want to reward the player that is just chucking plasma and everything else. But then it kind of seems like it puts the player that knows how to react and respond to that situation in a really, really tough position. Because again, in Burnout, you don't have a parry, you don't have the drive impact, and if you get drive impacted against a wall, that's going to be a stun, and you can't mash out of the stun. Remember that. It's really key to remember. If you get stunned against a wall in this game, you can't mash out of it. There is no making the stun go away quicker. That person has time to decide what is their most damaging combo. So in my mind, why would you not allow somebody to do their level 1 in response to a fireball or whatever else? Now, I did see that in the patch notes, they changed, Ryu's level 1 and like the fireball level 1s to be able to be a strike instead of a projectile, which is cool. But, especially when you're dealing with a character that doesn't have a fireball, like a Kimberly, like Jamie, it's like they need to be able to use that level 1 to possibly get around that. And that's just my opinion. And again, that's something that I'm probably going to put into the survey. But let's actually get into like how amazing this game is, right? Putting all that aside, let's really get into it. This game literally, and I think that this is something that all fighters should adhere to, like all like kind of ongoing, really long-standing fighters that has like 4 or 5 games underneath your belt. I think that this is the most logical conclusion to come to, because this game mixes all of the best parts of all of the Street Fighter games. Like, genuinely. It has the different options to me of like a Street Fighter Alpha 3 with all the different isms. You have so much potential with the drive system. I mean, it opens up so much. And even throwing that aside, each character has such a unique flavor to them. The amount of depth that's in them, it really reminds me of like that Third Strike kind of like, you know, where it really rewards the knowledge of your characters. And pretty much all Street Fighters are like that, right? But with Third Strike, you really had to be conscientious of the matchup and how your character fights another character. Like, that game was very, very big on that. And it's the same thing with this game. Case in point, I was playing Jamie for this whole entire beta pretty much. I played a little bit of Ryu with my friend. He was on a beta as well. I played a little bit of Ryu against him. I played a little bit of Luke, and which is funny because he's a part of this story. But I mainly focused on Jamie. And this time, I spent about, I would say, maybe 3 hours of training mode on Friday with Jamie. And I should have spent a lot more. And here's why. When I would get into matches, I would be getting my drinks and stuff, but I would still find it kind of hard to get in because Jamie's kind of like that rush down, heavy mix-up character, and so I would find it hard to get in, especially against a character like Luke, especially against Ken. Chun has magnificent normals, and Ryu, even though he's a lot, he's very bulky, he hits hard, so it's like he can get really good damage from a crouching medium kick, right? So I was finding it kind of hard to get in. I was like, man, compared to these guys, it's like my crouching sweep is kind of wonk. It's like, it's not wonky, but it's slow. Like, the startup of it is very slow to me. My heavy punch, my standing heavy punch is good, but it doesn't go as far as I need it to. I'm not really sure how to be able to place my heavy kick, which goes very, very far. But if it whiffs, then I have a chance to get kind of crushed or whatever else and get punish countered and everything. And punish counters in this game, it offers up so many combos, but you know, I have, you know, if I'm not careful, I can get punish countered, right? And I kept on trying to rack my brain around, yo, how am I supposed to be able to do this? But again, this game rewards you being able to know your character. And I was like, wait a second. I stopped for a minute, and for some reason I wanted to play some Street Fighter 4, right? And by the way, Street Fighter 4 Vortex is definitely in this game, 100%. But I started playing some Street Fighter 4 and I was playing my Cody. And that's kind of the mindset I was in. The problem is I was so locked into a Cody footsie playing mindset where, okay, you got to stay on the ground, you got to kind of get the right button and everything else. But I was playing against a Yun. And then I'm seeing that he's doing all these dive kicks and stuff, and he's doing these dive kicks at a perfect angle where I can't just throw out a button, where I have to be careful about trying to, just throw out a criminal upper and stuff like that. And he's kind of locking me down. And then it finally clicked. Hold on a second. Jamie's biggest idols are the Twin Dragons. And what move does Jamie get access to after getting his first drink? All you need is one drink for this move. His dive kick. His dive kick. That's what was missing. And so I finally started to realize that, hey, to get in, especially for people like a Ryu, a Chun, a Guile, and any character with a fireball, I don't want to get super duper close. Like, I can't do a normal jump because, of course, they can Shoryuken, they can anti-air, all that stuff. But especially if they're long range, I can use that dive kick to get right in front of the fireball, and they think that I'm close enough to be able to Shoryuken, and they do it, and then I can punish them. So I had to start augmenting my mind to go away from that, because of course Cody is my favorite character. I had to get away from that, Cody straight footsie side of playing, and I had to get more into the Twin Dragon mindset. And so I started looking at like certain things of even how they were played in Third Strike, and how that dive kick is really important. But it was really hard because I'm not used to doing those type of moves in the air. Like, my thumbs kind of like sometimes feel like it's getting jammed with being able to jump and then do a quarter circle back. Sometimes I mess it up and I just get a jumping heavy kick, right? And this game has so much possibility. I mean, and to the point where even getting bodied is fun. And this is speaking from a person, I'm not like a super duper professional player. I go to some tournaments sometimes for certain things, but I wouldn't say that I'm like a pro or anything else. I'm just proficient kind of in fighting games and stuff like that. But it actually kind of feels good to lose in this game, in my opinion. Like, not to like drive rush, but when you see the things that Ken can do, those Genrai kicks were giving me a headache, because I'm just like, okay, I don't know on which one. Like, I could kind of see when he starts off doing the the medium into, I don't know if that's like a low, or I don't know what that is, but I can interrupt it with the light punch. I'm able to interrupt it. But sometimes he would kind of mix it up and then go for the quicker option, and then I get punish counted. So I was like trying to figure out what I can do, and I was like, oh, wait a second. I have an option. I can just drive impact it because he's stuck in that animation. And then I get a punish counter, right? But then it's like when you're in the corner and you don't know what to do, they're kind of pressing a lot of buttons, and they're kind of trying to fish for that drive impact to kind of crush you against the wall. It's funny. A lot of people were forgetting about the one drive mechanic that nobody really saw a use for, and that's drive reversal. And drive reversal is 100% for the corner, because again, with this beta, I'm surprised even the people that I'm pretty sure got in on this beta only, they've been watching those YouTube videos. They've been watching the tech that people like Vesper, people like Max, and everything like that they've been doing to try to highlight drive impact combos and stuff like that, to where people are real. Like, I was getting a lot of good reactions from people when I would try to do like a simple combo into drive impact. They were responding to it, and they were responding to it very well. But if people are just throwing out buttons and you're in the corner, and you may only have like maybe 2 or 3 stocks of drive bar left and everything, that drive impact, the drive reversal only costs 1 bar. So you get yourself out of there and you can start to work yourself out of the corner. And so this game is amazing. Like, I'm not gonna lie, at this point, unless somehow the beta, that they mess up like one line of code, unless they mess up one line of code for this beta, when the final product comes out, we still don't know what World Tour is 100% going to be, right? We don't know if it's going to be a linear story, or we know it's going to be open world. We know that you're going to have various masters. You're going to be able to call them in. There's going to be different modes. You're going to learn different moves from them. You can create a character, but we don't know if it's going to be super duper linear. We don't know if it's super duper polished. We don't know how well it works and everything else. We don't know if all of the characters are going to be in there. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic, but I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't really see how Capcom could really mess this up, because, I saw a post from Sanford Kelly saying that he was done with modern fighting games. He doesn't think that it's for him, and I understand why he would say that, right? Because this game, it's a lot. It's a lot to maintain, and I often found that my brain was melting. Not because of what other people was doing, but because I was just like, even just discovering the fact that, I'm thinking like a Cody player while I'm playing a dive kick character. I've never played a dive kick character. That's a completely different mindset for me to get into. That's something that I have to learn, right? And so now I have that. But now when I'm playing somebody else, I got to worry about, okay, they've been using a lot of drive rushes and they haven't gotten any damage off of it. So now they only got one stack of bar left. So now I got to get in. I got to try to I got to try to deplete them so that they could be in burnout. But I don't want to try to slip up, because if they get a button, remember, getting damage, they took a page out of Guilty Gear's book where when you do damage, when you're offensive and the offense pays off, you get rewarded with more bar, right? And so there's a lot of things to maintain. I have to make sure that I'm not just whiffing, because punish counters are a big thing. And characters like Chun, Ryu, everybody gets a lot off of a punish counter. And with Drive Rush, you might be losing, and if they have CA, you might be losing a good 70% of your health, or 45, 50%, somewhere around there. You're going to be losing a lot of health. Like, it's going to hurt if you mess up. So now you have to maintain that. But of course, I'm playing Jamie, and to me, getting to level 4 is very, very important, because once you're at level 4, it's not about the stuff you get, it's not about the damage, it's about the fact that now every drink that I take after this is giving me drive gauge, and you cannot stop me from getting more drive gauge if I keep on drinking. I also wanted to start to get into the mechanic of actually holding down the drink button so that I could take longer drinks if people are trying to stay long range, because especially while playing against Guile, he's chucking his booms and everything, and sometimes he sets up the Sonic Blade first, so I can get in at least 2 drinks in front of that. Now, I may get hit with that fireball, but getting those 2 drinks is worth it, because with level 2, I can unlock another drink route from my overhead. And then, of course, I have my sweep, and then if it connects, I can get a drink from that. And then once I'm at level 3, I get a command grab. And so there's just so much. Like, literally, because of all the things that I had to keep track of in this game, like, my brain, I needed a break sometimes. Like, I needed a break from just the pure... It's almost like it gives you kind of like a high, almost like a sugar high. It's almost like a rush, like a drive rush. like it's amazing. And like I said before, it literally combines the best parts of all the games. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people really didn't like the Vortex aspect of Street Fighter 4, but I kind of loved it because the Vortex showed some of the most craziest, amazing combos that I've ever seen. It has that grounded footsie games of the Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 3 era. It has the possibilities of the various isms and everything else, and then it has like those really damaging combos that Street Fighter 5 had. And so it just takes everything and combines it so well, and it does it in a way, and I'm 100% going to go on record saying this, it does it in a way where casuals and pro players can both be in harmony. Not saying with skill set, with anything else, but saying in enjoyment. A casual can face off against a pro player, and he'll be salty because when you were in these lobbies and you saw people talking in that chat box, and man, people were chat. Listen, I saw people. I saw people that were saying, "Hey, I'm a Guilty Gear player, but this game is sick. Yo, I can't wait for the Tekken beta. But this game is amazing. It opens up so much." I saw people saying, "Hey, I'm from Dead or Alive." Like it, everybody from every different game was saying that this game was amazing. So you could be a complete novice, just mash on buttons, playing on modern play type, and be able to have a legit good time. Like I said, I actually felt good when I lost to something that was like really, really cool. You know what I'm saying? And even for the pro players, because of their knowledge of how the system works and being able to lab and have resources on Twitter, on YouTube, and such things, they're able to have such an amazing time, and they're able to get individuality from the system and the way that they want to play their character. You know, I could face a Chun-Li that never goes into her low stance. That little stance where she gets real low. I face plenty of Chun-Lis that don't even use that. They don't use it. They just rely on their basic buttons, on their Kokosho. They rely on the anti-airs and really good combos and drive rush. I face juries that don't focus on their Fuha charge. They want to keep on using drive rush. I fought Kens that really are really good at locking you down on the Genrai kick, and I face Kens that don't use the Genrai kick. They use Ken's really long buttons. They use a drive rush because Ken has one of those drive rushes that I think Ken's drive rush probably goes the farthest in my opinion. I face Jamies that, you know, drink a lot, that will just drink out in the open. I face a Jamie that doesn't drink at all. He kind of relies on being a little bit squirrely. He may get one drink to be able to unlock that dive kick, because again, dive kick is very important for Jamie. But everybody is able to play how they want to play. It's literally completely up to you. And at first I thought that drive impact was like kind of scrubby, but now, like, you know, of course, once getting into it and getting to see how to be able to combat it, seeing all the options that you had, and realizing that in the corner you have drive reversal, and then drive reversal is a simple answer for people that's just throwing out buttons. It's a simple get off me. And so this game is amazing. I am interested to see, but I will say some of my concerns, right? One really, really big concern that I have is, in a game like this with drive, with drive rush and drive impact, what is Geef going to look like? What is Geef going to be able to do? Like, I'm kind of worried, because seeing Ken rush in can sometimes give me a heart attack. Seeing Geef rush in, I might just put the controller down and be like, well, I'm getting critical arted. There goes 50% of my health. Like, I don't know. And I'm pretty sure that the guys at Capcom will balance it, because for a character like Geef, who's a grappler, his drive rush may only go like maybe 2 centimeters forward. He might not get much of, you know, a long-reaching drive rush, of course, right? But the problem is, when you're in a corner, does that really matter? Especially if Geef can get drive rush from buttons just like everybody else. And if Geef still has that poke, that low poke that he has in 5, yeah, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be very interesting. But we don't know. I don't think that they're going to add any more characters for the beta. I don't think they want to really reveal their true hand. I think if they do show off some characters, it's probably going to be in a showcase, or it's probably going to be like at an event, like a game show, maybe certain tournaments and stuff like that before a beta. I think the beta is literally just to make sure that the online aspect for the community works, because it seems like their main concern is community. Making sure that everybody can communicate, making sure that all of the game cabinets are working, making sure that the online extreme battle is working, making sure that the tournaments are working so that people can host tournaments if they so choose and please, making sure that people are able to, you know, get their created characters and keep all their created character looks and all that other stuff, making sure that they can still keep their options, because when I came into this beta, all of my options were still the same. I didn't have to switch to classic controls because I had already changed my options to classic controls in the first beta, and so they were still there, and that's something that's to be really applauded, because for the most part, and coming from the last beta, meaning Street Fighter V, it did not go well. Like, Street Fighter V beta was horrible. A lot of people couldn't get on. If you could get on, you was lucky. You was very, very lucky to be able to get on that beta. But this is looking like a really good product. It's looking fantastic. And honestly, I can't wait to play it. I know that June 2nd is a long time, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to blow through. We got some really good games coming up. I know, what is it, Resident Evil 4 is supposed to be dropping, I think Final Fantasy is dropping at the same time as Street Fighter, which is going to be crazy. I don't know how that's going to work, because I'm really excited for that as well, but Street Fighter is probably going to take priority. Still don't know when Spider-Man is coming out, and there was a bunch of games from the video game show that's going to be coming out in 2023, so yeah, we'll be alright. But that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Tell me what you guys thought about it. Tell me how your beta experience was. Put in a link for any put in a link in the comment box, any combos that you had or anything else, you know, any videos that you could show and all that good stuff, and post this video on Twitter, you know what I'm saying? If you enjoyed it, then share it with all your peoples and everything else. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about this beta. Appreciate your guys' watch time, and I will see you later.